Welcome back. Hi, I'm Abby Hagyard, and this is my tiny little corner of the world, and that is the largest printer. It's from the Mastodon era, and it is soon going to replace as soon as we can figure out how to get it off the table and into the room. So, cheers before we begin, lovelies. Oh, so perfect. Good morning, Eddie. Good morning. It's good to see you. Maggie and I were having a client conversation session last night, and we decided that we're going to try and say good morning to you at the same time, but she hasn't arrived. You jumped the gun. So I want to talk to you today about something really important because it's part of the work that Maggie and I are doing, and it is also really part of our everyday conversation now. It is increasingly a part of our everyday conversation. And so the title of today's ABCAST, and by the way, huge shout out to Billy Nave, who has created this awesome header for these ABCASTs. It's me dressed like this in here, and then he's got the lion effect on the page as well, which is just, he's so clever. He's just so clever. Anyway, what has happened increasingly, as happens all the time when there is a sudden transformation. There you are, Maggie. All right, 1, 2, 3, Maggie. Good morning, Eddie. So, what happens when there is a massive transformation that feels like it's happened suddenly is that everybody talks about it. Like the first we're in the north, the first huge snow dump of the year. Granted, we get snow pretty much every winter, but the first big one, everybody walks around and we talk about nothing else but this, oh my, because it overshadows everything else that was our normal. And so what is happening increasingly right now is concern, confusion, surprise, exhaustion, and uncertainty about the development of new technology that would appear. Good morning, Charles. My goodness, the gang is gathering. This is awesome. It would appear from all reports that this massive shift that we're experiencing now is taking our technology in a different direction. Now, when the internet was popularized, that took us in a different direction entirely. When the telephone was popularized, I don't mean invented, I mean popularized. All of a sudden, people couldn't imagine what life was like without a phone, without indoor plumbing. I mean, we could imagine it, but we didn't want to go there. And then with the mobile phone, the wireless phone, the race to be the first one to create what that changed. Henry Ford creating the popularized version of the automobile. His conversations about making it possible for these vehicles to be refueled and repaired without having to go back to the barn, as it were. It led to the development of roads, and it led to a greater and faster expansion in our exploration of our countryside, and the way our suburbs, our houses were built, our communities were built. And then the airplane transformed everything. All the ships that said everybody has to travel if they're going to cross the ocean, with us, apparently not. The train, every the printing press, the steam engine, every major innovation has upended, turned on its ear, flipped the world from what is to now what? Because we have become used to what is. And in every iteration, while there are massive transformations and some jobs and some functions are either lost or redirected, there is a general panic that we are not safe. And this is a very ancient, ancient thing. This has got nothing to do with technology. It's got everything to do with the back of our brain, where the survival brain has kept us alive since we crawled out of the ooze, right? So hang on a second. Cheers. So what I want to talk about today is that in the midst of our panic, in the midst, and by the way, I have something in my eye, I think, other than my finger. That might be it. Okay. In the midst of our panic and saying what's going to become of me, that's not really our modern day us talking. From the beginning of time, this brain at the back, the subconscious brain, is primitive. It's pre-verbal. It does 95% of the work of keeping us alive. So the other 5%, people are saying, don't let your emotions carry you away. The subconscious brain is where the emotions are. It's just going to do whatever it wants. And you can say all the things you like because it's not listening, because it's also pre-verbal. So it has no idea what noise you're making. And frankly, Scarlet doesn't care. It's got work to do. So that brain, good morning, and good morning, Kat. Good morning, Rhea. Oh my gosh, here we all are. So the conversation that takes place intuitively in the survival brain consists mostly of saying, what was that? Either running, hiding, or fighting for survival. That brain only knows that we're about to die unless. And that is what its function has always been. All the hormones it triggers so that blood flows and we respond to pain, and everything is designed to keep us alive and well. And it is fixated on, if it's working, why fix it? Why change it? Don't mess with it. If it ain't broke, carry on. And that anchors us in place sometimes when we really shouldn't. So when a sudden shift happens, that brain is on high alert. If there's too many shifts, too many surprises, too many threats, that brain has difficulty standing down. And that's when we get into our hypervigilance. And that's when we start overanalyzing and overthinking and unable to sleep, because we think the threat is right there every minute. It's also why we tend to watch things that scare us. We tend to listen to, we look at, focus on things that are loud and threatening. Why? Because that brain has always done that since the dawn of time. The two parts of the brain that think, so that brain is developed 1 billion years ago, and that brain thinks that it's still 1 billion years ago. That brain still thinks there's one tribe, there's one alpha, I have one job. And if I don't mess up, they'll let me stay in the cave. If I mess up, they're going to toss me out where the saber-toothed whatnots are, and I will die. And so things like, there's a traffic jam. Well, that brain thinks that everything's going to go wrong and I'm going to die if I don't get to work, or if I don't get to where I need to go, which is where road rage and all of these extreme reactions to things start to happen. What are they looking at? What are they going to think about me? All of that is the regurgitation of, if the tribe doesn't approve, I'm done. And so it's logical when you see it through that window, right? What isn't logical is that this decision made by some of us is going to prove to be the ruin and the end of the rest of us, because so far, knock wood, it hasn't happened. So naturally and helpfully, Abby, your tricks have saved me from the drama going on. I've survived the Olympics and the comments with a smile. Oh, good morning. Good morning, beautiful Kelly. I'm stuck hearing all the people mad about the hockey game. The sports world needs to hear this message. I just know it. Rhea, you're lovely. These are the barnacle buddies that we don't need hanging on, right? We don't need them. Right? Is it over? It's over. They had a big thing about the Super Bowl halftime show, right? Like, everybody's looking for something to get wound up and scared about. Why? Because we're in hypervigilance. There's too much stuff. And we just, and we're feeding on it because, oh my God, I have to be ready. I have to be ready. And so I'm going to work out compulsively, and I'm going to hit people just to make sure that my aim is good. Okay. So what we are looking at that is kind of interesting. So there's actually three parts of the brain. There's more, but there's three main parts of the brain. One at the back, the primitive one, does 95% of the work. The next one that came along is the conscious brain here. And it can think. It can do abstract thoughts, it can do math, it can draw stuff, it can decide what to wear, it can do all that stuff. It is completely oblivious to that brain. So this brain is basically the actor brain, the ego brain. This is the gotta get it done brain. This is we're all gonna die unless we survive brain, right? So that's survival. This is survival with maybe cherries on top, and I think I'll wear the pink shoes today. Okay. This brain is the go-between. This brain is the stage manager brain. This is the prefrontal cortex. It doesn't develop until our late teens, early 20s, and for some people, never. It is the one that suggests that if you stay out all night, probably you'll fail your exam tomorrow morning. Just saying. Why not go to bed early, write the exam, and then stay out all night celebrating the fact that you passed, is what this brain says. Every time we need to know something about what's going on, this brain makes sure that brain and this brain connect. It is the only way we are capable of think, plan, do. So all the rhetoric, all of the stuff going on, what's really important to remember is that no matter what, our superhuman power is still in demand, is still essential. All this other stuff that is happening is an evolution of something that we set in motion. Fair enough. We are still necessary for all the reasons. And the biggest ones are to perpetuate the work that is done to connect ideas, to transform, to engage, to collaborate, to create, to originate. Because the capacity to originate, the capacity to care, to connect in a way that is nurturing, is human. It is living. I don't mean it is exclusively mankind. It is living. It is creatures that raise one another, that nurture one another, that evolve to discuss, to create, to imagine, to originate. All of our tools, every single one of our tools, including the current iteration of tools, are designed to facilitate our innately human processes. Can we wash dishes by hand? Yes. Is it easier in a dishwasher? Well, it's easier for us. We're not doing it. We do have to load and unload the dishwasher, but we don't have to actually scrub the dishes unless, possibly it was me cooking, in which case we just buy new dishes because at a certain point in time. So where we are, and the conversation that Maggie and I had a couple of times recently is fascinating, because I want to talk about the lion effect. The lion effect is this. We are together. We are raising each other, nurturing each other, teaching each other, showing by example, mirroring, imitating. We are together. We are a tribe. We are a community. We are a village. We are a family. We are building our legacy. That's how we navigate and engage and stay safe. At the same time, on the inside of us, a similar lion effect is in operation. The lion effect is the collection of all of our different facets of our personalities, all of the ways in which we engage with others. If we engage with something small and helpless, we don't yell at it and tower over it. We make our own energy and our own emotions and our own physical presence less threatening. We, in fact, adapt to accommodate. Like chameleons, we respond to the energy around us and assume the same colors. We move the same way. We work in combination, in companionship, in collaboration. This happens inside us. It's not multiple personality disorder. It is the facets of our personality. It is when we need to be strategic. It's when we need an abstraction. It's when we're looking for words. It's when we're looking for the best and most immediate survival. Each part of our brain, each part of our body, all the functions that they're all capable of performing, that's within us. That's our that's our internal lion effect. When Gary and I were talking, I said it's kind of like a double helix, really, in that there's a structure on the outside, but it's hardwired to the structure inside. And the two of them, it's like a dance, making sure everything works to its best capacity. Now, this is how we have been able to evolve to meet a challenge and master it, and take that challenge and find a way to put it to use to benefit us. All of this capacity on the inside and our willingness to connect and share and collaborate on the outside. This is our superhuman power. And it is in demand 24/7. So the thing that I wanted to talk about today is this. Rhea's using the folder. Oh my God. Rhea, it's really interesting. Maggie, when she first watched a video and realized I was talking about the later folder, she went out and got one. She made her own. It's fabulous. More and more and more of you. Eddie's doing it digitally. He's doing it on his phone. Everybody's doing it because they realize the value of getting the thing that is stealing our focus out of our head and onto a piece of paper over there. And we don't have to worry that we're going to forget it. We're not going to have, got to remember. No. It's written right there. And we're going to look at it when? On the cover, later. Perfect. Now, I don't have to think about that. Now, I can focus on this present moment. And so, one of the other superpowers, superhuman powers we have is our ability to analyze and extrapolate. So what is it called? Adopt, adapt, apply. Yeah, this is part of our learning skill set, right? We look at a thing and we say, I wonder if that works if I do it this way for this purpose as opposed to that way for that purpose. And we try it. Sometimes that was wrong. You mean most of the time. But a lot of the time, oh, look, would you look at that? And now we have invented something. And here is where I believe people deserve to be gently redirected. We have the capacity for abstract thought. We have the what if. We have the experimental. We have the origin source where we draw ideas from. I always used to think there was like a little cloud above us with a drip, and an idea drips out. And and when it pops into our head, we think of it. If we don't act on it, it evaporates, it goes back up, and somebody else thinks of it later. And I used to think that when I was a teenager. And then, because I would see people saying, look at this, would you look at this? They'd been in a store, would you look at this? I thought of this 3 years ago. I know, and you didn't do a thing about it. And now look, they're probably rich. Is that conversation? But that was the source of, well, where does the idea go if we don't use it? And I think it just goes back into the source, into the energy. The idea of creating a machine, the idea of creating a machine that can perform tasks and, based on the pattern, anticipate the next. And by gathering information, copying, mirroring, we programmed it to gather, to compare, contrast, adopt, adapt, apply. Those are all functions that we develop over time. But the origin of the species, the origin of the innate, book, aha, is distinct. And our ability to let go of what does not serve us. You know, we have this thing, we want to be able to control everything so that we're safe. That's the premise of it. You know, if I don't feel safe, then I want to control more stuff so that I'll feel safe, because I felt less safe than was necessary. And now I'm anxious about it. Are we sure there's no lion out there? Are we sure there's no puma out there? Are we sure there's no flood coming? That happens to us at a very early age if we didn't feel safe, if we weren't parented in the ways that we needed. All right. And so this is how we're compensating. But the most important, I think, element here is that we cannot control what is not ours to own. We cannot fix someone. We cannot correct someone else's cause and effect behavior. We can give them tools. We can give them training. We can show them the cause and effect, benefits, and setbacks. But we are not the ones who can rewire their brains. We are not in their brain. They are in their brain. It is the other person who must make the decision on a regular basis to complete a new, simple, repeatable function on a regular basis. It is their commitment. You can have all the drive you want, but without direction and dedication, you ain't going no place. You got no traction. You're just in the driveway with the engine running with no idea. And if somebody says it's a 17-hour drive and you're not willing to do it, you ain't going. Doesn't matter how much fuel is in the vehicle. So these are things that I think are important now as this rhetoric is amping up and ramping up. We are not in competition with them. The jobs we did that those machines can do more efficiently will be jobs that we will do for different reasons, in different ways, with different outcomes. A machine can put a garment together more quickly, more reliably than someone who cuts it by hand, designs it by hand, stitches it by hand. However, there is a great deal of precious value inherent in a one-of-a-kind, handmade, crafted item, as opposed to off the rack, just the same as everyone else, just in a different color and size. So when we are looking for uniquely, distinctively, specially, that's our human superpower. Do we have to get different jobs? Yes. Do we have to reorganize and reset our expectations? Yes. Will we be living different lives? Yes. We will be living as different a life as everyone did after the invention of electricity. And by invention, what I mean is discovery, right? Because it was there, we just didn't notice. So when we discovered it and figured out what to do with it, look at all the things we can do, right? Sales in candles and the smell of kerosene lamps. Because electricity, click. Wood stove, campfire, turn on the heat. All of the, again, decide you're going to meet your relatives, get on a horse, attach a wagon, and we'll see you in a week. Or call them up, see you in 15 minutes, get in the car. Everything about our lives changes with change. And one of the principles of the Pivotry in Motion collection, the Pivotry in Motion Lion Effect training and rewiring and reasserting ourselves, is that we have the capacity to own the changes that change us. We can choose to find our best way to change that serves us while it supports the shifting trend. We have the decision-making capacity. You know, I was saying this morning, writing to myself, because of course I'm polishing the books now. Gary and I are polishing our content. A pivot is an abrupt turn. Most of the time, it's made in response to an external stimulus. The more surprising the external stimulus, the more abrupt the turn. Pivotry in motion is not an external, it's an internal process. Pivotry in motion is what we do, how we behave when we realize, and it is the realization moment in which the pivot takes place, the pivotry happens, the realization that what is going on and how we feel about those things, so how we feel internally, is no longer in alignment with who we are, what matters to us, what we want to do, where we want to be, and when. We go along to get along until that moment happens, that Milo moment when we say, no. We have this unspoken conversation going on inside of us. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then it's that final drop. And every instinct within us, the strategic part of us connecting to the abstract part of us, to the survival part of us, all three in alignment say, check, please. That is the pivotry moment, function, process that the various parts of our brain, this part is driven by feelings and emotion. This part is driven by awareness, logic, and abstraction. This part is weighing cause and effect. We do more of our check please decisions as this part of our brain develops, because it brings all three together. Because I got to tell you, when we say check please, we are already ready. We are already in the boat. When we have made that decision, every single part of us, every molecule is in alignment. We're not angry. It is just that the cup is full. And we say, and so Pivotry in motion, this awareness to give ourselves permission to be aware that we do this, why we do it, how we do it, so that we're no longer confused and we're no longer externally driven. We're no longer chasing our outcomes. It is no longer this anxious, got to go along to get along. And all of the, this isn't meant to be a commercial or a downplay, but the laws of physics are fairly clear. Chase energy is anxious energy. It is a quality of lack. And it pushes, it's negative, it pushes away positivity. So when we feel that we need and we want and we got to have, it takes longer and longer to get it. So these people who say you got to do more to be more, you got to train harder. You don't train harder, you train more strategically. You assess and analyze your best strengths. You adjust to bring those together. That's not chasing. That's preemptive striking. And the people who tell you otherwise either missed school the day that physics lesson was taught, or they just prefer the idea of the whole cheerleading thing. Go, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't realize that you can't sustain that. That's why so many people say motivation doesn't work, because everybody outside ramping you up and amping you up, and then you go home and that subsides because the external is not still there, unless you play the tape over and over and over, unless you listen to that doubting brain over and over and over. And then you're wired permanently to be chasing, 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 never receiving, receiving, receiving. Our superhuman power is knowing here and here and here and here that we got this, that we are in this together. Tribe, facets inside. And all of the innovations and all of the upgrades and all of the technologies and tools, their purpose is to enable us to not do more, to not be more, but to enjoy all that we already are. What do you think about that, sports fans? So I'm going to leave you with that today. I'm going to leave you with that. I know it's a shorter video, but I think it's important. Oh, hang on. What have you said, Rhea? Been able to make it a sports folder? Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. All three parts align. Agree. Check, please. Doesn't it? Doesn't it sum up everything, Eddie? Every single thing that we have, that we do spontaneously without thinking, automatically, is triggered by the pattern we set inside. And the beautiful thing is that patterns are created in our brain by repetitive, simple actions. If we want to learn a new thing, how can we if the brain is hardwired? But the brain is not hardwired. How do you think we learned to drive a car? We performed a simple repetitive function. The first 2 or 3 days of driving a car are very entertaining for a lot of people and very frustrating for another group of people, usually the driver and the family and the nearby bystanders. All of a sudden, after a certain number of repetitions, your survival brain says, yeah, never mind, I got this. Carry on. And we do. This is why, as soon as we realize that the survival brain doesn't like change, because change makes us vulnerable, and that means we could die. Okay, fair enough. It's worked for eons. Good for you. We now have to take a look at the change and see how we can manipulate it, adapt it, and own it. And once we do, it works for us, as it has always done and will continue to do. So with that said, be good to you. Be good to you amidst all the rhetoric. Dial it down, change the channel, allow a different algorithm. Walk away from the habit of doing one thing and give ourselves time to breathe. Maggie and I came up with an understanding when we were talking about the now what time scheduler. And she said, she was the one, she said, let's put 5 minutes in between. Let's give ourselves a 5-minute break in which we're not allowed to do other stuff. Like you don't take the 5 minutes and scroll, and you don't take the 5 minutes to, fold the laundry. You just take 5 minutes. And if you don't need 5 minutes, great. Take 30 seconds, take a minute. If you need 10, take 10. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself time to switch gears. Give yourself time to exhale. And just breathe. Do the 30-second 5-finger breathing exercise. Give ourselves permission to reset, restore our energy, and come in for the next play, refreshed and ready to take on the challenge, to learn how to make the change work for us. So with that said, thank you for watching. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for being part of this. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. And I will catch you on Thursday. Same place, same time.